Welcome to 60 Skills. We will now discuss plant-based or chemical-based aids to meditation. You'll notice I didn't use the word drugs there. I will have a lecture on that in a little bit. Historically speaking, a lot of people make a big deal out of using different compounds to aid the meditative process. Let me start by saying there's no real need to do this. Some things are helpful, and I am about to talk about the two that I'm aware of that are both safe and helpful, but in general, they are not necessary. Okay, well, what is helpful? Well, for one, hallucinogens in this kind of endeavor are a bad idea. Like I said, I'll have a separate lecture on this in a moment, but the fact of the matter is, all of the hallucinogens that I have seen people use to aid the meditative process caused an excessive amount of damage over time. And by that, I mean brain damage. And I've never seen anybody get away with it long term. And I have seen everybody who's gone down that path suffer severely when they get older. My suspicion is because the brain itself has a great deal of latent capacity built into it. You don't see the damage until someone's past their 50s. I've never seen anybody in their 70s who used this stuff to any meaningful degree have anything less than impaired cognition. So be careful with that. All right, that's enough of the drug speech. Let's talk about what can be done. Classically, there are two approaches to this that I have seen work that seem to be helpful over time. The first of which is the utilization of different liniments and balms to improve clairvoyance and clairaudience. In the Franz Barden tradition, there is a fluid you can make out of eyebright that you then soak pads with and place over the eyes. Very, very, very helpful. There is another fluid that is made out of chamomile that is likewise charged with esoteric energy and then placed in the ears to help develop clairaudience. Again, very helpful and generally pretty safe. The second one, which I'm going to get into now, are classically known as spagyrics in Western meditative circles. Now, what these are is these are herbal preparations. You take an herb, you soak it in alcohol. Once you finish doing that for a while, you pull the remaining plant matter out, burn it until it turns into an ash, then you recombine the two. This recombination process takes another couple of weeks. Afterwards, you drain out all of the remaining particulate matter, and then you take 10 or 20 drops a day of that particular extract. Seems to be pretty helpful. Now, in a classical spagyric system, you will have 7 of these, one for each day of the week, corresponding to one of the 7 planets. Now, that's not where the work stops. What gets left out in this is when you have your spagyric, directly before you take it each time, you do a meditation on the associated planet. Then you imbibe the spagyric. Again, 10 to 20 drops is pretty normal. And then it increases the amount of energy in the body associated with that planet. This whole process takes about a year. So, in other words, you're going to do 1 spagyric a day, every week, alternating every day for a year. Most people who've done this work tell me they get some pretty good results out of it. So it's definitely worth doing. But out of everything I've seen about using different compounds to aid the meditative process, the use of external liniments relevant to clairvoyance and clairaudience and the use of spagyrics seem to be the safest and most repeatable way of doing this. Now, don't get me wrong, the Buddhist and Taoist traditions in particular have an entire pharmacopoeia of things they use to do this. However, from what I've seen, the science on that is not well explained. So if you're going to take an Ayurvedic, Buddhist, or Taoist approach to this, I would strongly advise you to really research what you're doing and to make sure that the compounds you're using are in fact safe to be used over a long period of time. So that's pretty much it. So if you're going to use medicine, or i.e. drugs, to aid your meditative experience, spagyrics and external liniments are the only two things that I've seen, when used over a long period of time, appear to be safe for a practitioner. Be well.